How's it going, guys? Sorry, it's been a while. Phone's been, having problems with it. But here's my thoughts on the El Paso shooting and the Ohio shooting. Well, first with the El Paso. I'm just going to say it. I think this guy had to have been led by someone or had to have started something covertly because he was younger than me. I read his manifesto, and it appeared to be too well written for a kid his age. The thought process, everything he was saying, the kind of words he was saying. I mean, if somebody was as disgruntled as him, so psychotic enough to go shoot up a Walmart, it'd be more erratic. But it was almost like a millionaire gentleman was writing it. And on top of that, he must have been one bad son of a bitch to take down 20 people in the short amount of time he did. He had to have been trained, but he has no record of anything. No military experience, no police experience. I don't even think he went to a gun range, and he was talking about, oh, well, should be an AK or an AR-15, and he made that on his manifesto. It was a list. Guns I should use: AK-47, AR-15. And those are surprisingly the guns that they want to take away. He even had some tannerite in his truck. It's a legal explosive you can get at a gun store, which they've been trying to outlaw. And on top of that, you gotta notice all these mass shooters, they have something in common. I mean, if you're psychotic enough to go shoot someone, enough, you're gonna grab whatever you can. And none of these people have bolt-action rifles. None of these people go in with shotguns. None of them, snipe from a distance. It's all with AR and an AK. Well, rarely an AK. The AR-15 is what everybody wants, and that's obviously the gun the government wants to ban more. And on top of that, you have a leftist, which the media's covering the El Paso shooting more. No fucking shocker there, because they're far left as hell. And this guy was a far leftist. He supported Antifa. He wanted Elizabeth Warren to be in charge. And they said, oh, well, yeah, it happened. It was a tragedy. And he had far left thoughts. But they're trying to keep the shooting under wraps as possible, even though it's impossible to keep it completely under wraps. And everybody's, if you're noticing in the media, oh, El Paso, El Paso, El Paso. Well, another shooting happened literally the same weekend. In essence, they just seem too well connected. Even all these mass shootings. I mean, they're all done with the AR. And ARs are not cheap guns. They're expensive as shit. The cheapest one you can get is about $550. And if a bunch of psychopaths want to get a gun, they don't care what they can get. You can get a high-point carbine for about $200 and do damage with that. You can get a shotgun and you can cut down multiple people with like two rounds. I'm not trying to sound like a serial killer. I'm just proving out facts. You can get a handgun for fire 16, but it's always an AR, and it's always, rarely at times, an AK. And in my opinion, this is how you can take guns. The sheep, who believe whatever the hell they hear, they're in my opinion, it's a massive conditioning. All you have to do is cause enough mass shootings, and there have been false flags. There's a reason why the term false flag exists. I mean, if you pretty much keep doing the shootings, the sheep will eventually say, oh, well, we don't need them. We're in a top society. This might make me sound paranoid, but I think the government or some organization is behind this. They're all too planned out. They're all, like I said before, this guy killed 20 people. 20 people in an instant. Everybody knows in a live fire situation, like that dipshit in Texas that fired on a federal courthouse. That's what somebody would be like. Adrenaline jacked, heart beating. He didn't kill anyone. Like, the realization of what he was doing kicked in, and he fired a couple of shots through a revolving door. And then the cops gunned him down instantly. But these people, one, they were younger than him. And he went in there with an AK, hosed them down. Boom. 20 people dead. That's just not how it works. You have to be trained to counter something like that, to focus with the adrenaline rushing through your body. I mean, it's like a drug. And, one was far right. He also had some left-wing views. And then the other one was just far left as hell. he's been conditioning the drones to where, oh, well, the government's had enough of all the riots in the streets. Both of them are bad. But the truth is, man, let's just be honest. The government has been, they've been killing Americans for as long as possible. You know, that's why we need the Second Amendment, to keep us safe. They don't like that. They are power drunken. I mean, just, if you don't believe me, you got Edward Snowden, you got the Patriot Act, you got all of it. It's all in your face. They're tracking your phones, but everybody has been conditioned to see it as normal. It's called brainwashing. You know, I mean, it's completely obvious the government's tyrannical. Everything that's going on now in the country, it's not like how it was in, let's say, 2008, 2009. Shit's hitting out. People are talking about, oh, yeah, overthrowing the government. I'm not, but I'm just saying exactly what a lot of people are thinking. Like, they're realizing that everybody's getting fed up. They're all saying, we had enough of this shit. We had enough of the tracking. We had enough of getting gunned down by cops. Well, not all the cops are bad, obviously. But, yeah, I honestly think false flags to take away the guns. I mean, I might sound a little bit paranoid, but none of it adds up. The other guy, who was a Hail Satan, blah, 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 according to the media, which I don't believe at all. It just seems all too perfect. And immediately after it happens, we talk, oh, ban guns, ban guns. And eventually, enough mass shootings, you're going to have people going in office saying, oh, well, enough is enough. And the drones will be like, oh, yeah, well, enough is enough. Not thinking for themselves because the press thinks for them. I mean, for crying out loud, millions of people are marching in the streets since Trump's term thinking he was a Nazi Russian agent, even though it makes no fucking sense because, you know, didn't the Russians completely obliterate Berlin? But that's just my thoughts, man. I'm thinking they're just trying to whittle away our will. Whoever's doing this, whether it be the government or some other organization that just is power drunken and wants to enslave people physically and psychologically. I don't care what race you are, what sexual orientation you are. I don't judge people like that. Honestly, my fantasy woman's a fucking Japanese woman. Yeah, hopefully, you know. Like I said, race, it doesn't matter. Gender, doesn't matter. Sexual preference, doesn't matter. You have to stay safe. You have to stay mentally focused. Stay fit. Stay prepared. Because I'm honestly thinking, it's... When people think of Civil War, they think of the bombing of Fort Summer in the first one. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be lone wolf strikes, false flag attacks, government infiltration. What can we acquire first? It's going to be like the Ukraine. I mean, if you have pictures of the Ukraine Civil War before it happened, there are people doing what they are today. Like that Roman gladiator cosplayer in Portland. You know, I mean, if you look at the Ukraine things, there was a Darth Vader whatever the hell. He wore costumes, that's the point. Dressed like Darth Vader, going out there having a blast in the riots. And then the guns got picked up. And now look at them. These are the stages of a civil war. It's not going to be like the first one. It's going to be like the Ukrainian Civil War. There are going to be multiple organizations. And if people buying what the media did with all these race bait and horse shit, it'll even be about race too. I mean, they're just people that can't think for themselves anymore, man. They were raised in an age where media was constantly being shoved down their throats. Special interest groups, greedy politicians, everything else, you know, thinks for them. This is what you will think. If you don't think it, you're either a conspiracy theorist or you're fringe. Your ideas are fringe. It's bullshit. You just have a different opinion. Don't let me think for you. Also, I don't want to be like a douchebag on the news screen saying, this is what you believe. You should believe it. You should believe what I'm telling you right now in this YouTube video. I'm not like that. I'm just voicing my own opinion. Anyway, that's what I'm talking about. You have to be able to think for yourself. You have to be able to train yourself. Because, my opinion, how shit's going, I've studied history. Shit's going down. Hitting the fan. It's only going to get worse and worse and worse. If you're a white guy, have black friends, tell them. Tell them to think for themselves. If you're a black guy that has Mexican friends, tell them to think for themselves. Hell, if you're white, tell your white friends. If you're black, tell your black friends. Think for yourself. Don't be a puppet. Well, I took up a lot of time in this video, but I'm just expressing myself, you know. Figured I might as well talk to somebody on my cell phone. Anyway, stay safe. Pretty much stay safe, stay armed, protect your family. Peace out.